Picture this for a second. You're standing in the kitchen. You've just spent hours cooking, seasoning, grilling, carefully plating a beautiful seafood dinner for someone you love. Maybe it's your mom, your grandpa, that precious elder who once held your tiny hands and told you bedtime stories. You set the plate down in front of them, smiling, feeling proud, because you're giving them something healthy, something special. But somewhere deep inside, there's that little whisper, that tiny voice you almost ignore. Is this actually good for them? You see, most of us were taught growing up that fish equals health, that fish means heart-healthy oils, strong bones, a sharp brain. We were told, eat more fish, like it was a universal golden rule. But what if I told you, not all fish are safe for older adults, not even close. In fact, some popular types of fish, the ones you find in grocery stores, seafood restaurants, maybe even in your freezer right now, could actually be harming them. And it's not just a little upset stomach we're talking about. We're talking about dangerous levels of mercury, toxic chemicals that attack their brain and nerves, things that can quietly wear down their heart, their kidneys, even their memory over time. Imagine serving a meal with love and unknowingly hurting them. It's not your fault, you weren't told. But once you know, you can protect them. You can make smarter choices, choices that add more beautiful, joyful, vibrant years to their lives. That's why today is so important. Because by the time you finish this video, you'll know exactly which 7 fishes older adults should never eat. And even better, you'll learn safer, healthier, and still delicious alternatives. Simple swaps, big impact. So stay with me. Because every minute you watch is a minute closer to keeping your loved ones safer, healthier, and happier. And hey, if you believe that every elder deserves the absolute best care, the best love, and the best protection we can give, go ahead and comment "I'm here" down below. It lets me know that you're someone who truly cares, someone who's part of this beautiful, growing community we're building here at Elderly Words. And while you're at it, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because trust me, you don't want to miss the next tips, truths, and real-life advice that could change not just their life, but yours too. Alright, let's dive in, starting with a fish that's not just dangerous, but downright deadly for older adults. You'll be shocked when you find out what it is. 1. Tilefish. Imagine this. You take your grandpa out to a fancy seafood restaurant, you order him the catch of the day, grilled tilefish seasoned perfectly, served on a shiny white plate. He smiles, he eats, you both enjoy a beautiful evening together. But a few days later, he's not feeling right. He's dizzy, his hands tremble. He says he feels weak, nauseous, not himself. At first, you think maybe it's just the flu, right? Maybe he's just tired. But what if I told you? It could be something much deeper, something quietly attacking his brain, his heart, and even his kidneys. Tilefish is one of the worst offenders when it comes to mercury contamination. Older bodies aren't built to handle that kind of poison anymore. As we age, our ability to detoxify heavy metals drops sharply. What a young, healthy body might shrug off, an elderly system simply can't. Mercury doesn't just pass through the body. It builds up, silently causing damage day after day. Memory problems, muscle weakness, heart strain, all can be linked back to mercury overload. And tilefish? It's one of the absolute highest in mercury. It's not worth the risk, not by a long shot. And yet, so many people think, fish is fish, right? It's healthy. They assume if it's on a restaurant menu, it must be safe. But that couldn't be further from the truth. The good news? You don't have to give up seafood altogether. Safer options like wild-caught salmon or sardines are not only lower in mercury, they're packed with omega-3s, which can actually protect an aging heart and brain. Simple swap, life-changing difference. But mercury isn't the only danger lurking on our plates. Sometimes the threat isn't from toxins, it's from something alive. Let's talk about the next fish you need to avoid. 2. Swordfish. You've probably been there, a family barbecue, big gathering, laughter in the air, and someone, maybe Uncle Joe, proudly throws thick, juicy swordfish steaks onto the grill. They look hearty, filling, like a real meal. Everyone digs in. It's a great day. Life feels good. But weeks later, Uncle Joe isn't feeling so great. He's sluggish, he's confused more easily, and after a visit to the doctor, his mercury levels are dangerously high. Swordfish, just like tilefish, is a mercury bomb. Why? Because swordfish live a long time. They're big predators, eating lots of smaller fish, which means all the mercury those little fish carry stacks up inside the swordfish. By the time it reaches your plate, it's loaded with toxins. Problem is, most people just see a thick cut of fish and think, wow, hearty, healthy protein. But they don't realize the hidden cost. Especially for seniors, where even slight toxin exposure can tip the scales toward cognitive decline, heart trouble, and a general loss of vitality. Instead of swordfish, go for trout or haddock. Both are lighter, cleaner, and packed with the good stuff, protein, omega-3s, without the heavy burden of mercury. Speaking of hidden dangers, let's move on to a fish that might actually shock you, because it's one that's often recommended as healthy by mistake. 3. King mackerel. I remember my neighbor telling me once how much she loved king mackerel. Rich flavor, beautiful fillets. She made it almost every week for her aging mother. But slowly, her mom started forgetting small things. Where she left her keys, the name of a beloved grandchild. It was brushed off at first, just getting older, right? But when they finally ran some tests, the results were shocking. Mercury toxicity. King mackerel is another heavy hitter for mercury, and here's the sneaky part: not all mackerel is bad. Atlantic mackerel, the smaller, oily kind, is fantastic for health. But king mackerel? Different species, different story. Huge mercury risk, especially dangerous for aging brains that are already vulnerable to decline. Don't fall into the trap of thinking all mackerel is created equal. If you're shopping, always double check. Atlantic mackerel, yes. King mackerel, a hard no. Now what about the fish that seems exotic, even glamorous, but hides dangers you absolutely don't want near your loved ones? 4. Shark. You know those travel shows where people show off eating exotic foods, shark steaks, shark fin soup? Sounds adventurous, right? Something to brag about? But nobody talks about what happens weeks later when heavy metals seep into the nervous system, when hospital visits replace vacation photos. Shark meat carries staggeringly high mercury levels, plus arsenic, lead, and other heavy metals you definitely don't want in an elderly body. Their muscles, their nerves, their vital organs, all under quiet assault. Here's a simple rule of thumb. The bigger and older the fish, the more toxins it holds. And sharks? They're kings of the ocean, and unfortunately, kings of contamination too. Instead, focus on smaller fish, humble heroes like cod or whitefish, safer, cleaner, and just as delicious when prepared with love. Now let's move to a fish that feels fancy and healthy, but it's playing a dangerous game with your loved one's heart and brain. 5. Ahi tuna, big-eye tuna. Maybe you've treated yourself, or your elders, to a beautiful plate of sushi. Those bright red slices of tuna, smooth, tender, elegant. But a few meals later, energy levels drop, mood swings appear, the mind feels foggy, tired. Doctors run some tests, and sure enough, mercury overload. Ahi tuna, especially big-eye tuna, is dangerously high in mercury. And yet, people assume all tuna is created equal. Big mistake. Yes, tuna is brain food, but only when you choose the right type. If you love tuna, stick with skipjack or light-canned tuna. Much lower mercury, still delicious, still packed with the protein seniors need. Simple choice, big difference. But there's one more twist. What if the danger isn't just about the species, but how the fish is raised? 6. Farmed salmon. My grandma loved salmon nights, baked salmon with herbs, a squeeze of lemon. Comfort food at its finest. But after months of eating it regularly, her joints ached, her energy faded faster. Farmed salmon? unlike wild-caught, is often raised in overcrowded pens, fed unnatural, processed diets, exposed to chemicals, antibiotics, and pollutants like PCBs and dioxins. Those toxins build up, and when older adults eat farmed salmon week after week, it can lead to inflammation, pain, and worse. And yet the common belief? Salmon is healthy. No questions asked. Well, it depends. Wild-caught Alaskan salmon? Fantastic. Farmed salmon from sketchy sources? A ticking time bomb. When in doubt, go wild. Literally, look for wild-caught labels, preferably Alaskan, where fishing standards are the highest in the world. And finally, there's one last fish, one you might be buying right now without realizing the hidden risks. 7. Imported catfish. Times are tough, budgets are tight. You want to buy something affordable, easy to cook. Maybe some catfish fillets from the freezer section. Seems harmless, right? But if that catfish is imported, especially from countries with weak food safety standards, you could be putting your loved ones at serious risk. Imported catfish is often pumped full of antibiotics, exposed to polluted waters, and treated with chemicals banned in the US. It's cheap for a reason, but the long-term cost, digestive issues, liver strain, toxin buildup. Families often think, fish is fish, but trust me, when it comes to elderly care, quality matters more than ever. If you love catfish, and who doesn't, buy US farmed catfish instead. Strict safety standards, cleaner water, healthier meals. Now that you know these dangers, the real question is, what can you do to protect your loved ones starting today? It's heartbreaking, isn't it? To realize that a meal, something prepared with love, care, good intentions, could actually end up causing harm to someone you adore. You imagine your parent, your grandparent, sitting at the kitchen table, smiling as they take that first bite. You see the trust in their eyes, the comfort, the way they feel safe because it's you handing them that plate. But hidden dangers, the kind we talked about today, don't show up with flashing lights or warning signs. They slip in quietly. They steal strength. They rob moments, little by little. But here's the beautiful thing. Now you know. Now you're armed with the truth, and that truth gives you power. Not power rooted in fear, but in something infinitely stronger. Love, protective, intentional, unshakable love. You have the ability to look at that seafood label, to ask a simple question at the market, to make one different choice at the restaurant. And that one choice can ripple out into more energy, better memory, stronger hearts, into more days, more smiles, more life. Next time you shop for seafood, slow down, check the label, ask where it's from. Don't be shy, don't be rushed. This is about more than a meal. It's about defending the people who once defended you, who once held your hand, who once made your world feel safe. You have a chance, every time you cook, every time you serve a meal, to say without a single word, I love you, I'm protecting you, I'm giving you the best I can. Small choices, tiny steps, they add up. They build a life where your loved ones don't just survive, they thrive. Where birthdays, anniversaries, afternoon walks, and simple laughs around the dinner table are still there waiting, vibrant and full of life. You have the knowledge, you have the heart, and together they can create miracles. Because in the end, it's not just about the fish. It's about preserving the memories and cherishing every precious moment we still have left. All right, let's take a moment and recap what we learned today. 7 types of fish that, while popular on dinner plates, should be kept far away from the plates of our beloved elders. First, we talked about tilefish. With mercury levels so high, it's like feeding them poison disguised as a meal. Then there's swordfish, big, bold, and sadly, packed with hidden dangers. King mackerel followed, a fish whose mercury burden can quietly steal away memory and cognitive strength. Shark, exotic, tempting, but loaded with heavy metals that the aging body simply can't fight off. And then ahi tuna, especially big eye, often mistaken for a brain food when it can strain the heart and weaken the mind. Farmed salmon came next, a common favorite, yet often contaminated by the very conditions in which it's raised. And finally, imported catfish. Affordable, yes, but too often grown in polluted waters that put vulnerable seniors at risk. 7 fishes, 7 choices, 7 ways we can say without even speaking, I care enough to choose better for you. Now I'm curious, and I truly mean it. Which one of these surprised you the most? Was it the swordfish? The farmed salmon? Maybe the imported catfish? Let's talk about it down in the comments. I would absolutely love to hear your thoughts. Your experiences, your questions, your insights. They help others too. You're not just learning here. You're becoming part of a community that cares, a community that uplifts one another in one of life's most important journeys. And if you found this information valuable today, even just one tip that made you think differently, please take a second to like this video. It tells the platform that these conversations matter. It helps this message reach the families who need it most. And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button for Elderly Words, because every week we're diving into real, compassionate advice to help you protect and celebrate the ones you love. Thank you, truly, for being here. Thank you for caring enough to learn. Thank you for being the kind of person who doesn't just watch from a distance, but steps forward with heart and with action. Stay strong, stay informed, stay compassionate, and I'll see you in the next video, right here on Elderly Words.